Alrighty, I see a good amount of folks on the line here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, thank you very much for joining us for our latest All Demo No Pitch. If this is your first time, this is actually a series that we do at Elastic Path. You can find other previous demos and recordings on our website, so feel free to check those out. This is all about showing off product without a lot of pitch. So my name is Hannah Jarrett. I lead our product marketing team here. And today we are going to be focusing on composable commerce through a demo that shows Elastic Path, Contentful, and Algolia integrated in a composable commerce approach. Some housekeeping items before we get started and before I introduce Julie below. As you can see, we are recording this. This will be recorded and sent to you after, so you can feel free to share with whoever on your team or whoever might be interested in this content. You are all muted just so that we can get through content, but on the bottom right of your screen, you should see a Q&A button. Feel free to enter questions throughout the session while you're watching Julie demo or at the end when we get to our Q&A section, and we'll do live Q&A there. Anything we don't get to, we'll follow up directly with you via email after the session. All right, so a little bit about what we're going to show today. So if you're on the line here, you've probably heard of composable commerce. You're probably interested in it. At Elastic Path, we really think about composable commerce as an approach to building best of breed, so multi-vendor commerce solutions that bring together multiple solutions into one cohesive offering. Ideally, they enable you to move faster, provide those delightful next level experiences. But the reality is that composable commerce sounds amazing. A lot of brands feel a bit of risk or uncertainty with how to actually adopt it. How do I choose multiple vendors? How do I integrate them together? And what does it look like for my team that has to manage multiple solutions on a day-to-day basis? And that's exactly what we are here for at Elastic Path. One of our biggest goals is to help de-risk, make composable commerce more accessible. And one of the ways we've done that is through integrations with best of breed providers like folks like Algolia for search and Contentful for content management. And so today we have Julie Mull, our VP of Global Solutions Engineering, on with us to do a demo that showcases composable commerce in action. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Julie.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And I'm going to do the obligatory share screen, and we'll walk through the demo. So again, as Hannah said, we're going to cover an experience that showcases how multiple technologies come together to create an experience from a commerce perspective. And in this scenario, we're going to cover really the integration between Algolia, Contentful, and Elastic Path Commerce Cloud as delivered through a React-based front end. So this is a React PWA because Elastic Path is a fully headless API-first solution. It gives our customers the flexibility to decide what technology, what framework they want to use on the front end. And so with that said, let's just take a look at what we have on this particular site. So we're showcasing Belvy, a high-end kitchenware supplier. And in this experience, you can see we have Algolia integrated for search. And from a content standpoint, we have some components on this page that are driven by Contentful. So this kind of shoppable piece of featured content is getting served up through Contentful. And then, of course, Elastic Path is really sort of that glue that holds all of these components together. So let's just walk through a typical scenario. So I've come to do some shopping. I'm looking for a new high-end coffee maker for my kitchen that I've just redone. And, you know, as most interactions begin, I'm going to start with search. So I'm going to type in coffee, you know, I'm looking for a coffee maker. And you can see in my search results, I've got two coffee maker results, but I have this sort of residue cleaner, you know, not necessarily a high value product, I would call it, appearing really high up in my search results. And if I click search, again, this search results page is getting served up through Algolia, and we're seeing those search results here. So we have a mix of sort of coffee makers and coffee accessories. And that's great. I might, as the consumer, go in and place an order for one of these products. But in the context of a composed solution, as let's say the search manager, I'm going to come to my solution that's dedicated to search to kind of manage this experience. So a common scenario is, I might, as the search manager, begin with analytics as an example. And, kind of see, and of course, this is a demo environment, so we're not going to see a super lot of analytics. But a common thing that might occur is that I see what a common search term is, and I can see how well that particular search is converting. And I'm looking at my results, and I can see, I get a lot of searches for coffee, but not a lot of conversions. So I want to explore that. So you can see I've come now to the index, really the records that are populating that search that we saw in our front end. And if I type in coffee here, you can see I'm getting those same results, right? So this is exactly what's populating that front end experience. And as the search manager, I can say, oh, okay, I can see maybe why I'm not converting really well. I want to go in and manage that experience. So Algolia has a lot of features. We're not going to cover off on all of them, but a typical example is really kind of curating a search experience based on my search results. So I'm going to use their visual editor to create a rule that says, and again, you have many options, but I'm going to leverage what we've learned so far about our search term coffee. And I'm going to say, let's create a rule that when a consumer types in coffee as their search, or their search contains coffee, right? This should look very familiar. This is exactly what we saw on our front end. Let's curate that experience. And you can see it's a visual drag and drop editor. I don't want to completely remove my kind of accessories, but I want to move them down in the search results. And maybe I put them in multiple categories, but for now we're just going to move those and pin those to the bottom, right? A typical sort of boost and bury type of scenario. And I'm going to move one of our featured products here to the top. Right, so very quickly and efficiently, I was able to come in and see what's happening with my search and my search terms, and make some changes to curate a more optimal experience, one that we think is going to convert better. So I've saved that rule and I've published it. And let's come back to our website here, back to Belvy. And now when I do my coffee search, oops, maybe I didn't quite publish it as well as I thought. We should see those, it helps maybe to refresh. We should see those results change. There we go. With the term coffee fully baked in there. So we can see the one that I pinned, and if I come to my search results here, we can see that's exactly what happened. So those two kind of low value products are not featured in our search results, they're buried a little bit. So how does that experience tie into what Elastic Path does? Well, as you can imagine, all of this product data is getting served from the commerce engine. So within Elastic Path, we really kind of think of ourselves as the hub of that overall commerce experience, so that we can manage all of the key integrations that serve up, the optimal experience for your customers. So this is the catalog of products that we saw within the Algolia index, right? I have 71 products here. And if I come back to my index, you can see I have those same 71 products within Algolia. And the way this integration works, and we'll cover this off from a Contentful standpoint in just a moment as well, but all of these integrations are easily configured within Elastic Path. So we can see, of course, there we go, our list of integrations. Sometimes when I have my demo queued up for a little bit too long, I just need to refresh. So let's just come back and see. All of our integrations are completely event-based. So what that means is, in my catalog of product information, when anything happens from a product standpoint, we're going to notify the different integration endpoints that require it. So if I click into Algolia as an example, you can see that the events we're observing for this particular integration are create, update, and delete. So anytime we add a product, obsolete a product, or change product content, we're going to fire off an event that will automatically get synced to Algolia, and then by virtue of that, get updated within the customer experience. So for instance, if I come back to our listing of products, I can make a change to one of those products, and we'll see that flow through into our Algolia and Contentful index. So for instance, if I come to this descaler product, maybe I want to further deprioritize where this particular product shows up, and I'm just going to, make a change that says, let's take out the word coffee and just use descaler as an example. So when I save this product and then we come back and take a look at our integrations, we'll see that that event has fired off. So, and then of course, when I come back to Algolia, we'll just refresh that. This event will have fired off. Our index will get automatically updated within, again, in this case, Algolia. And if I can just, we can see now when I click into that descaler, the word coffee has been removed. So again, another way to kind of highlight both the integration between the Commerce Engine from ElasticPath and the downstream solutions that utilize that data. I apologize, just one moment. I'm going to mute my.
No worries, Julie.
It never fails to happen.
Yes. Julie has a puppy at home, so just give us a minute to.
There we go.
Set.
So that's the, and we'll see them walk here in just a moment. That's the Algolia integration. So similarly, we'll see the same kind of experience as it relates to Contentful. So again, you remember on that home page, we have this one particular component that's getting served up from Contentful. And if we look at our kind of content model with Contentful, you can see we're pulling in product content and we can create various content types. So the featured product component is what's feeding that shoppable component on our homepage. So again, a typical scenario that we see with content managers is they want to leverage new product information that gets introduced into the Commerce Engine, right? I've got a new product release coming out. We upload that information and manage it within ElasticPath Commerce Cloud, and we want to make that immediately available both to our search manager as well as our content manager. So again, I might want to come in and change that featured product. So this gives me now real-time access to the product catalog from ElasticPath, and I can go in and choose the component I want, right? So in this case, we're going to feature this new high-end espresso maker, and let's just update our component quickly, and we'll do the same thing here. I'm not going to make anyone suffer through me trying to type in content. There we go, just something basic. And then I'm going to go in and grab my new image. So let's go in and look at our media. Actually, let's come back and we'll grab it here. Again, come in and I'm just going to grab something off of my desktop here. There we go. That's our new image. I'm going to publish, and let's go back and look at our new, there we go. So now I've completely changed that component. I've pulled in the new product data that was introduced through ElasticPath Commerce Cloud. We're going to publish that. And then again, if I come back and refresh, we see the latest and greatest content that's come in from the content management system, in this case, Contentful. And of course, for purposes of demo, we haven't enabled every component on this homepage for the purposes of the integration. That's really up to how, our customers choose to design their customer experience. They might only enable some components, they might enable all components. That's really just a design decision with the content teams and the design teams around how that integration is going to work. But this is a fully shoppable component. I can click add to cart. It's going to add that item to my cart. And now we've made that very easy for our customers to take advantage of the latest product release. So with that, I think we have about 13 minutes left. Hopefully we've received some questions, and I'll turn it over to Hannah to take on the question.
Great. Thank you, Julie. All right, so I have a few questions that have come through, but if you're on the line and you have a question, please pop that into the Q&A right now. So the first one, and I think this is pretty common. You mentioned it briefly when you started, but what is the headless front end here? And then there's another one that's similar. What are my options for a front end with Elastic Path? Oh, you're muted, Julie.
In this case, with the demonstration that we were showing, the front end was built in React. So it's a PWA built in React integrated to the various components that we showed in the demo. But of course, our customers might have preferences for the different front end technologies that they want to use. There's really no limitation to making that choice. So, if you have in-house design teams that have a preference for one framework or another, absolutely use those. And then I'd also add that we have pre-composed solutions where we have developed already in a variety of technologies, a front-end experience that's purpose-built for kind of the end use case, whether it's direct-to-consumer or B2B or B2B2C. We have some of those pre-built, so you don't necessarily have to spend time deciding, investing, developing that front end. You can take advantage of one that's pre-built and pre-integrated.
Great. Thanks, Julie. And then actually I see a few questions about customization, but I'll start with one that's a little bit more specific. Does Elastic Path support custom fields and or entities? And then maybe an example of some ways that we've done that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the answer is absolutely. And all of those are configurable within the solution, either directly through the API, because we are API first, but also through the business and user administration interface that you saw prior. So if you want to add new fields to describe your products or different categories of products, that of course is fully supported and then leverageable throughout the experience. So certainly in the case of what we saw, and a very common use case I'm sure most of us are familiar with, you might have different categories of products in your organization that you describe differently, and those attributes need to inform the search experience, both from a search term and possibly even a search facet scenario. So as part of that integration within, let's say from Elastic Path to Algolia as an example, those custom fields or attributes would be sent across to power things like faceted navigation and search.
Okay. And for the person who asked that, if there's something more specific, feel free to follow up there. I will move on to the next one. This is quite common as well. So if you have another preferred search provider, so like if you use Coveo, can we integrate with that? How does that work if there's another provider that they'd like to use?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're completely open to the technologies that you choose to use within your organization, right? If you think back to when I was showing the integration setup within Elastic Path, that same model works really with any type of solution, right? That event-based architecture allows us to feed in all of those events into any downstream solution, whether it's Algolia, Contentful, Coveo, Bloomreach, something that you've custom built in your own organization that has the ability to receive events. There's really no restriction there.
Great. Then do you have a list of integrations? So I can briefly speak to this. So we have something called the Composable Commerce Hub, which you can find at elasticpath.com/hub. And you can go into accelerators, which does have a list of partner integrations that we have. That being said, kind of as Julie mentioned, if you are working with a provider that is not on there and you'd like to integrate them with Elastic Path, that's absolutely no problem. We do it all the time. And that's actually how many of the accelerators have been added to the hub through a project with a customer. So check that out as a starting point, but just know the nature of the platform is open and API first. So it's quite flexible in terms of what you want to integrate with. Anything else there, Julie?
No, I think you covered it off very well. And we, as again, we think of ourselves as sort of the hub in the commerce ecosystem. We are always looking at what the latest and greatest is in the commerce ecosystem to bring in new partners and to really fill out what the that partner ecosystem looks like to continually drive the best possible commerce experiences.
Great. Oh, this is an interesting one. Just came through. So besides Algolia, are there any other search engines you could recommend in a composable commerce approach? And because Julie does this like every day for prospects, I think it's actually a great answer. Maybe it's not the specific platform, but like how we usually do that in engagement with a brand.
Yeah, that's a great perspective to take, because we're showing Algolia here, but we do support and have partnerships with a variety of different technology partners. And our goal is to really understand from our customers what their requirements are and the business outcomes that they're trying to achieve with those requirements. Because while we really partner with the best in breed across all the different components within a commerce architecture, based on your requirements, one may be better suited for your environment than another. And so we really work hard again to understand what those requirements are, what kinds of outcomes they're tied to help make a recommendation, and then bring into the process, maybe one or two recommended technologies based on those things. So for search, we have quite a few that we recommend, but I always try to do that in the context of what I know about the customer and the requirements versus just saying, oh, here are 4 to choose from, go pick yours. We again try to wrap that around what the outcomes are meant to be.
Okay, and then we have another one here, which we get often. How do customers with multiple solutions handle support? So thinking if you're coming from an all-in-one platform where you're used to calling one number when something goes wrong, what do you do in this approach? Who do you call?
Elastic Path provides a service called, it's our Commerce Assurance Service. And essentially we act as that frontline support because again, sort of as that hub in the overall commerce ecosystem, we can monitor and keep track of the performance of the integrations and kind of quickly understand where something in the experience might be impacted or breaking down. So we run that first line support and triage for our customers and make the outreach to the appropriate partner if in fact it is a partner solution that might be providing the issue, right? So that's that's kind of how we try and de-risk the move from an all-in-one to a composable approach by really having that first line support across the whole ecosystem for our customers.
Yep, thanks, Julie. And it absolutely is a consideration when you're thinking about this approach. Another question here, what's the difference between this newer composable product from Elastic Path as compared to the larger version that's been out for several years? So I think this question is asking, what's the difference between Elastic Path Commerce Cloud, which is what was just shown, and Elastic Path Commerce? And I'll hand it over to Julie, but one thing that I'll point out is both of these solutions are composable in that you can integrate third-party providers with them. I think really where we talk more about the differences is when we look at Elastic Path Commerce Cloud, the internal architecture and the composable nature of the way the platform is architected internally. So Julie, I'll pass that off to you, but that's the question.
Sure. Thanks, Hannah. I love this question. I've been in commerce for a long time, and I've kind of seen the overall progression of technologies and where they're going. And I think the way I would sort of characterize the difference is the first platform really actually was the first platform in the commerce market to be considered headless. And so that decoupling of that front end experience from everything that happens in the back end. We all talk about headless now. Headless is everybody wants to go headless. And that old platform was the first to be headless, but still sort of, the rest of the platform was rather monolithic in nature, which is typical of a lot of current platforms that are, making the attempt to go headless. But, I think with the new platform or, the fully SaaS version of the platform, we've moved beyond headless, frankly. Headless is important, but it's really not the most important consideration anymore. It's really giving customers the freedom to create and compose the experiences that they want. And that means, much like what we saw today, pulling in the different components very easily and readily, so you can compose and decompose and recompose and really kind of test quickly and fail fast, as they say. But to Hannah's point, it's also that composability is driven into the platform itself. So you can utilize various components and sort of those packaged business capabilities in a way that makes sense for your business. So even, for instance, in the context of a catalog, we have fully decomposed our product catalog, so each service operates independently. And while that sounds great technically, what it means from a practical standpoint and from a business standpoint is it allows merchandisers to then compose product experiences in the way that they want, as quickly as they want, as frequently as they want, meaning, grab these products, arrange them in this kind of hierarchy, overlay this price model, and deliver it to this context, whether it's a touch point or a customer segment or any, the metaverse, right? That's the real difference between the original platform, we'll call it the OG, and where we are now, where we've really moved beyond headless and have driven composability right into the heart of the platform itself.
It's a great question, and one we're happy to chat more about too. Feel free to reach out and we can kind of walk through those differences and really what that means, but also recommend this internal composability concept. If you're curious about that, we have another all demo no pitch for our catalog composer, which highlights exactly what Julie was talking about, wherein we've separated products, prices, hierarchies, and catalog so that they can be more easily composed into dynamic catalogs for a pop-up shop or a specific channel or a specific geo. And I would check out that all demo no pitch on our catalog composer. You can find that on our website. Okay, I do not see any additional questions. I'll give it a last call if anyone's typing, but we are actually coming up on our time. So perfect timing here. I will wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Julie, for demoing. Again, we'll send this recording out so you can take a second watch and you can share it with your teams. But appreciate the time and hope you all have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.